Well, hello. My name is Aaron White. I'm from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm actually really glad to have a small role. I got to sit back and listen all day and drink cup after cup of coffee and chat. So I just want to thank some people while I'm up here. Amy, Maureen, Rebecca, my old friend Mark Ilgen, Fred, Wendy for organizing it, and all the travel. So thank you for inviting me and having me. What I want to do with the limited time I have, this is going to take me about 5 minutes. I mean, I literally just jotted down what I'm going to say right before I got up here. I'm here because alcohol is often overlooked as a drug, but it is a drug. And it's a drug that is very commonly used, and a drug that is associated with somewhere around 90,000 deaths a year, which is over 250 per day. It's a drug that interacts with other drugs, and I'm sure that and I'll show you some data, where you find overdoses on other drugs, you often find excessive consumption of alcohol. Often goes unrecorded, unwritten down. It's not mentioned on death certificates, but it's often there. And so my institute is very interested in this issue that we're seeing with this dramatic increase in deaths due to opiate and opioid overdoses. And we're very curious about what the role of alcohol is in these overdoses, and also what we can do. If we do interventions or preventions for alcohol, do we also affect prescription narcotic use, heroin use, and vice versa? If you do an intervention or prevention strategy for those drugs, do you see effects on drinking? And so I think we're just really beginning to learn about some of these nuances. Alcohol, as I mentioned, does cause a lot of death, from car crashes to poisonings all by itself, to falls. It's associated with about half of all burns and drownings. It's there a lot where you see mortality. One of the reasons is that the therapeutic index for alcohol is quite small. If you look at the toxic dose of a drug divided by its effective dose, it tells you what the dose is, what the ratio is, and you want a big number. You want to walk in to CVS and buy some Tylenol, and if you don't read the label and you take 2, you don't want to realize you might die. You want that therapeutic index for the acetaminophen to be quite high. And with Valium, it's somewhere around 100 to 1. 100 times the dose that is effective will kill you, or could kill you, will be toxic. And with morphine, it's often written as about 70 to 1. It's probably lower. With alcohol, it's something like 10 to 1 if I'm being generous. So alcohol by itself is very toxic. As soon as you get beyond a couple of drinks, you have a lot of significant disruption of cognitive function. We laugh about, at least we did when we were younger, we laugh about people drinking so much they throw up. But when you really think about it, what your body is telling you, what your brain is telling you when you throw up is that you are poisoned. And it's very easy to do with alcohol. And so not surprisingly, when we look at deaths and hospitalizations for overdoses on other drugs, alcohol is often present. And just to show you a little bit of data, this is a study that we did at NIAAA a couple years ago looking at 18 to 24-year-olds. And on the left, what you see is a big increase over the years. Now, these data are they're a couple years old, 2008. But what you see is over that decade period from 99 to 2008, there was about a 70% increase in hospitalizations for poisonings on opiates and opioids. In that entire time, on the right, you'll see about 1 in 5 of those cases involved an alcohol overdose, which we define as the codes in ICD-9 and 10 that identify excessive consumption, high blood alcohol level. Basically, you drank way too much, and it compromised your ability to function. And so over the years, as Christy pointed out, she saw that in her data as well, the prevalence of the presence of excessive drinking and hospitalizations and deaths for opiates and opioids is not going up, but it's always there in the background. So about 1 in 5 times you find heavy drinking. So when I tell you that the therapeutic index for morphine is something like 50 to 1, it's not going to be 50 to 1 if you've got a couple of drinks in you. It's going to be a lot lower. And if you've got a high blood alcohol level, who knows what it comes down to, but it's certainly not going to be the 50 to 1 it is when taken by itself. So alcohol increases the likelihood that you are going to be dangerously compromised in terms of vital functions when you take other central nervous system depressants like benzodiazepines and opiates and opioids. Very hard to kill yourself with a benzodiazepine if you take it by itself. Not very hard if you take it with alcohol. And so it is a real threat. So what we're interested in knowing partly is how to help physicians understand those risks, and the fact that there's a good chance, and we've published some data out of the Institute in the last couple of years showing that a fairly high percentage, I can't remember it, of people who take drugs that interact with alcohol, prescribed drugs, also drink alcohol. And so it's important when MDs prescribe medications that could interact with alcohol in a synergistic or cumulative way to warn patients about that. Be careful about your drinking. How much, in fact, you could use it as an opportunity to talk with the patient about his or her drinking. But certainly if you've got somebody who's binge drinking on a regular basis and you prescribe anything from cardiovascular meds to sleeping aids, Ambien by itself produces amnesia. Combine that with alcohol that produces amnesia, and I bet you get a lot of people that wake up and have no idea what they did the night before, where all their cookies went, or it's a common outcome. Okay, so how do I advance? Let's see, the play button, right? That one. So just another example. If we look at, these are the data you've seen throughout the afternoon, the morning and the afternoon, on deaths due to opioid analgesics in the United States. And so as you can see, it's climbed. The rate has gone up considerably. It has tapered off. In fact, there hasn't been a significant change since about 2008. Once you adjust by age, but there was it's still going up, and went up steeply for about a decade. Well, here's alcohol. Now this is an odd-looking slide because the x-axis is so compressed, but you're looking at a range of about 12 to 20% there. And what you can see is that basically over the last decade, there have been about 15% of these deaths are noted as involving an alcohol overdose, excessive consumption of alcohol. And it must be a lot higher, because normally when another drug is implicated in a death, even if there is alcohol present, it's often not recorded. So at least 15% of deaths on opioid analgesics involve excessive consumption of alcohol. It's not a small amount. So we're interested in knowing what to do about the issue. How do we develop prevention strategies and interventions that address both of these issues? It's not going to do us any good if we figure out a way to help a patient cut back their drinking and they only escalate their opioid use, and probably vice versa. You probably don't want to get people just to decrease their opioid use if they're just going to start drinking more heavily. So we need to know, how do we do both of those things at once? And also, how do we help physicians? I fully appreciate the fact that you've got limited time. You're not getting paid for that time you spend doing screening and brief intervention. How do we make it so you either don't have to take a lot of time or you do get paid for that? But how do we help patients understand that if they take medications that interact with alcohol, they could find themselves in real trouble, before they know it? So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.